Hello, impromptu live. Hey, Sky, what's going
Hey
on, girl?
there, how are you?
I'm great, girl. You got me out of my bed. Nah, I was doing some office work.
I'm like, let's be spontaneous up in here,
I know,
right?
right?
I mean, isn't that what being poly is all about?
That's it. That's it. That's what it
So,
is about.
so what is the tea?
Um, hmm. What is the tea?
Well, from where I sit,
Uh-huh.
both of us watched the hardly initiated polyamory versus monogamy podcast, and I was so fired up. I mean, it was so good that I said, I called you and I was like, let's do a review on it because I actually looked for reviews. That's what happened just now. I was looking on YouTube, like, did anyone review them? Because it was juicy.
Yeah, it was really good. Um, I'm glad you sent me that link. I'm trying to like get to my Facebook. Um,
So, for folks who don't know, we got a few lurkers. But for folks who don't know, Hardly Initiated is a podcast. I actually watch it pretty regularly. The guys on there are based here in Atlanta,
uh-huh.
and it's all about relationships. And I'm always messaging them to get Kenya K. Stevens and her husband on. Like, I've done it so many times. I feel like they answered me, but it probably wasn't just me. It was probably a multitude of people who have
Okay.
messaged them to get them
Okay.
on. Are you
Oh,
good?
yeah, I'm good. Oh, I guess I have to press the Instagram. Sorry, I was just finishing the setup. Okay, I think the Instagram one is on now as well.
It's all good.
Sorry.
We're doing
But
our
I'm listening.
we are our own tech.
Yeah,
We do our own technology here until we make it big in the podcast world. We are our own
absolutely.
we are our own team. But anyway, so uh I just said let's just have a conversation about it. You were on it for you did you see most of it or
Oh, no, I saw the whole thing.
okay, cool.
Yeah, I watched the
So
whole thing.
okay. So yeah. Whew. Okay, so the layout of it is, and I'm just gonna pull it up because I do already have it here.
Okay.
Is this is Tyshawn, and I'm just gonna play a little bit of it and then stop it, and we can have little conversations about it. But here we go.
Tuning in from because this is a highly anticipated episode. And what I want to do now,
Yo, and real quick, shout out to all the new initiates that have joined. Shout out to my girl Lisa McKinnis, and shout out to Simply and
yeah.
Zinga for dropping those memberships. Man, I really miss y'all for real. It's kind of crazy. It's a week. A week is a long time to step away from content.
Okay, I'm not gonna do all the intros. I'm just gonna fast forward. So they had two couples, one representing Christian/monogamy, and then they had the polyamorous couple represented by Kenya K. Stevens and her husband Carl
Carl.
or Rakim. Yeah. So here's
And thanks for what you said originally.
this is the
Yeah,
couple.
we are happily married, so we're looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. And I gotta be honest, y'all. Y'all know I want to be in the studio, man.
Right.
I'm atmospheric, boy. You already know it, man. And we looking forward to we looking
I think we
forward
can
to
skip
what's to
those
come.
parts. Yeah.
Incredible. Let me tell you, I didn't know y'all was gonna have the angles and the switches popping over there. It's looking
I
crazy over
know.
there.
We have a home studio.
So that's the couple that represented the Christian monogamy. And I'm just gonna fast forward because they
Yeah.
talk about, their stuff. And then here is Kenya and
And
Carl.
help me out here with this as well. When it comes to 28 years of marriage, give us the backstory on how you guys met.
we we actually met on a blind date, and it was kind of funny because I know you want to fill in the blanks here, but I have a friend who I was in graduate school with, and he lived in the same building as Kenya. Okay, and so he was a good friend of mine, and his girlfriend lived in the same building.
Oh, look at
And
that.
he actually bumped into Kenya and tried.
Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that? Okay. Anyway, I don't want to say the whole thing they said because everyone can go to the podcast and watch the entirety. But I just wanted to reflect with you on stuff that they brought up and stuff that wasn't mentioned that I thought would probably be important for folks who are, you know, interested in polyamory because we are the poly pimps. So I'll start off by saying that I think that even though the Christian couple represented monogamy and they did it well, I really don't think it was a debate because Christian values is undebatable. That is a staunch doctrine on how to live and how to be, how to love, how to be, how to have a husband and a wife, period. So I feel like you can't really like, there's no winning. Essentially, there's no winning in a debate. You have like, you present an argument and then you debate the argument, right? So the argument was, is polyamory better for our community, or is it better for the individual or the family, or is monogamy? Now, there was no real back and forth about the pros and cons because the Christian family, the Christian couple, relied so heavily on biblical scripture and the Bible, and this is how it is, and soul ties, and they used a lot of this language, which definitely proves monogamy is their way and the only way. They can't see past their doctrine. So I really didn't feel like it was a balanced debate. I felt like had they had a monogamous couple who wasn't Christian based, or not necessarily wasn't Christian, but the fact that the couple was a pastor and a first lady puts a lot of heavy emphasis on the Christian part of it, right? When I wanted to hear more of just monogamy in general, I guess. No?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think it depends on the people you bring onto the debate, because some people can be in church, some people can be pastors and still keep an open mind, even if it's not what they like, what they practice, what they want. They can still keep an open mind to see, you know what, I can see your point of view. And when I was watching it, I realized halfway through, I'm like, I am getting sick of this already, because um if you take your religion out of it, you got nothing else to say to me, as to why monogamy is a valid choice. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of was sick of, because I'm like, you talking for people who only believe in your religion or God or anything. If I'm not a believer, how can you convince me that monogamy is what I'm supposed to be doing? You know what I'm
I
saying?
thought,
And they can do that.
let me tell you how I thought deeper. Well, I've been thinking about this all day. I don't even know why. But the part for me that the missed opportunity is the fact that I think one of the questions that was asked was, why is the marriage statistics for monogamous marriage so high? The divorce rate, 60% now. Why
It was
is it so much
70%
cheating?
from what she said.
Yeah, whatever the number is, it's like
Right.
66%, whatever the number is, it's high, right? Why is it so high? Why is there so much cheating and so much infidelity in monogamous marriage, etc.? I'm not saying polyamory is perfect. I'm just going to look at that particular. And the answer was coming from a place of character, right? So, you have to look at the character of the individual, was what the first lady of the monogamous Christian couple was saying. And yes, cheating and lying and all of that is based on character, absolutely. But we have like I feel like we have like a crisis going on in our country and in love and relationships. It's like a crisis, and it's being like taking butter and just kind of like smear it over it. It's not only character, like there are some real issues going on in our society that play upon why monogamous relationships are failing all the time. And that I felt like I wanted to hear more of that. Like how, especially if you are based on church philosophy or Christian philosophy, what is it really that y'all are doing to really support these families that are struggling with monogamy? You know, if monogamy is the way, why aren't they lasting? Why aren't they
Exactly.
why aren't they
Why is it failing so much?
because for you to say look at the character, for you to say look at the character of an individual or the people involved, that is why, then basically you're saying you got a weak team because you got a lot of people who cannot stay true to the game. You know, when you marry monogamously, I recall hearing something about the vows say till death do us part. Is that not part of the vows?
Yes.
Right. So if it's till death do us part and folks are divorcing, I heard somewhere also that divorce is like a sin or something like that.
Right.
So if there's all of these failures happening, then what is going on to build up like and make monogamy a winning thing? Like, you know, I'm not going to say eradicate divorce, but what about like reducing divorce rates? Like, is there like a program out there to help reduce divorce rates? I don't believe there is, because I just still don't believe that monogamy is a winning thing for families. That's just where I'm gonna stand. I also feel like, you know, some of the key things that Kenya and her husband were saying were overlooked because they kept saying, we don't encourage couples to do polyamory. We don't encourage, exclusive sexual relationships are a thing, you know, but because the word polyamory means multiple loves, it didn't seem like anyone, because I was in the chat, I was communicating and going back and forth with folks, and folks just like, they're just stuck on, if you're okay with multiple sexual partners, you need the blood of Jesus.
You need Jesus, yes.
You need the
God
blood of
doesn't
Jesus
say
to
this.
wash
God doesn't
away
say
your
that. Yeah. The Bible
and
says this, the Bible says that. And again, it's all good if that's what you believe, but how are you gonna talk to a non-believer on why is monogamy the way to be without the religion?
well, a non-believer and a believer. Do you think they say the believers are the ones that the Bible Belt in the United States has the highest rate of pornography viewership, right?
Right.
So you got to imagine that there's a lot of like undercover, like the sexuality is such taboo. Being sexual, sexualizing anything is so taboo in this culture, in this particular Christian doctrine or religious culture or what have you, whatever they're trying to say. But yet there's this deviant behavior in the background, which is where
Mhm.
the side chicks and the those things are happening, because they can't be free about it. They can't be
Mhm.
authentic. They can't speak on it and stuff like that. So I do think that they really didn't speak on the problems that are actually happening right now, you
one
know?
one thing that I noticed when they talked about, you know, when I think Carl or Kenya asked them, like, so, or one of the guys, somebody asked, so, Pastor, if your wife were to come to you and say, baby, I have feelings for another man, or I think I like somebody else, whatever, whatever, what would you say about it? He, the first thing he said, I would just ask her, what's wrong with her? And, you know, just that was the kind of um reaction
Attitude.
that
It's
he
the
had
attitude.
to, right? And then after that, he didn't even continue. He never really said what he would do. He just flipped it and said, if some people in my congregation had that issue, I would definitely tell them to let's all bring it to the table. Bring your wife, come on, and then we're all gonna talk about it. And I would help him, and I would help them, find a solution. And I'm just like, look at that. Like, you got out of it so easily. You didn't even answer the question for yourself, sir, because you can't answer. The only answer you have does not even make sense, or really doesn't give any autonomy to anybody, or your wife for that matter. So I was just kind of like, honestly, the whole debate, I was kind of rolling my eyes a lot. And there was a girl that came on, and I was so glad when she finally came on and said this. She's like, I'm watching this whole thing, and religion tainted the whole conversation, because now
Mhm.
it's only about the religion part that we're talking about. And that was my biggest thing. I'm like, I don't care. You can try and prove your point to me. I want to know what you're saying, and I want to listen. But if I'm coming from a non-believer point of view, your religion, coming from a religious point of view, means absolutely nothing to me. It's like you're asking me to swear on the Bible when I don't even believe on the Bible. So you might as well tell me do whatever you want, like,
Well,
be
I
able
think
to educate me on that on that subject without the religion, but you can't.
well, I was thinking about this, and I've watched many of their podcasts, and I've been on the fence about it because they've had people like Dr. Umar and Yada and some other like politically black people who are not necessarily religious, but then they've also had pastors and what have you. I want to believe their podcast is coming from a Christian perspective, even though they kind of like broadened it and have other folks on there. But I do believe like there's nothing in writing that I found that states that Harley Initiated is a Christian podcast. But I
Right.
think the undertones are coming from that perspective because I
Oh,
think,
absolutely.
yeah, because I think a lot of the viewers were Christian just from the
Hmm.
chat. And um and it's interesting because I enjoy being in different circles, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? But
Yeah.
um I just felt like, when Kenya started talking about scientifically, then I realized that science and religion don't mix well.
Not
So
usually.
right. And so what happens is now, once again, you don't have comparable facts for a debate. You want, that's another reason why she's talking about the nature of humans and the nature of monogamous species who mate for life until they die. Like whales mate for life. And when their partner dies, they beach themselves and kill themselves. Like they
Hmm.
mate for life. We don't do that in the human species. We do serial monogamy. And so when that conversation was going on, when she was talking, the chat was funny because they were like, what is she talking about? This ain't got nothing to do. It was just funny because it was like she's really talking pure 100% real truth, science, but so it gets a little swayed. But anyway, I just want to say that I do think those guys are doing a great job. I like their podcast. I admire them. It's very entertaining. I like the fact that so many people tune in, and I know that there's so many people like that are not Christian tuning in, myself included. I mean,
Right.
when they started interviewing folks that were popping up, and I was trying to get on next time.
Better luck next time,
Better
Sky.
luck next time. I was trying to get on, but when they started interviewing, and then all these guys, they were trying to interview guys, which it was kind of weird because it's like they should have done like female, male, female, male, but whatever. They do
Right.
their podcast the way they want to do it, which is fine. They were interviewing, all the guys were like poly all the way, and they were just shocked. right? But I
Right.
really wanted to speak on behalf of the women, poly women, women who support polyamory, right? And I really
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say that, you know, when you look at society, let's look at American society,
Mm-hmm.
50% of women will not get married. They will not have a mate. They're going to be 50% of our population that's getting old. There's not enough men. There's not enough viable men. There's not enough men, period. There's just not enough men to go around for each woman to have a man. So 50% of our female population is going to die alone, or, well, we all might die alone. But what I'm saying is we're not going to, they're not going to, I'm not going to say we. um,
Well, it's something like that that came up recently too in a conversation I was having. It's like, they started talking about how we have so many more women than men. So why would women want several men to themselves, like when other people need to find? And I'm like, is it my problem that you can't get a man? Like, and I can get 10? Like, it's kind of like telling me that, even though you have the ability to win or to earn $10 million, you should not try to do that because I can only earn $25,000. I don't know how to earn 10 million, so you should not try to earn. It's like, what are they doing to get those men or not get those men? Or why can't they keep the men that they have? Like, why is this my business that I have to not have 10 men because Jacqueline over there can't get a man and keep a man? Like, I don't understand
well,
what that has to do with it.
keep is the bigger part of it, not get. She could probably get all the men, but a lot of
Right.
women out here, that's a whole nother show though. We could do that show, put that
Right.
on our list of how to keep one. But anyway, um, yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of problems in our society. Women are not going to have a man, and even when I was typing in the comments, some women even said, "I'd rather be single than share a man."
Mm, I guess.
I don't consider it sharing, but that's language.
Right. That's the
Um,
language they use.
that's the
So we're
language,
gonna
right?
use it so people can understand, I guess, what we're saying.
Right. I don't look at
But
it as sharing, but for the sake of English, um,
and I've heard people say, "Oh, I don't want 99% of your love. If you can give me that 1%, that 1% means everything." I'm like, what planet are you on? Like, really? Is that what we're gonna do? Like, okay, all right then. Yeah, I'd rather be broke than have $99.
no, I'll take the 99. I'll find $1 somewhere in the street. I will take 99. I'll take 85. How about that?
But those are things that people just say. Another thing that people love to say, I was on a show recently, and quickly we talked about polyamory, and there was somebody monogamous on there, and I respect everybody's point of view, but sometimes I wish people would stop saying certain things just because it's a popular thing to say. And the young lady just said, I'm pro monogamy, which I respect. Like I said, I don't mind people being monogamous because, again, not everything is for everybody. That's why we have so many different choices, right?
Mhm.
So, but it's a choice that people make. And she said, oh, somebody asked me, do you recall the first time that you ever fell in love with somebody or something like that? I said, oh, absolutely. I don't think that's something you can forget. I was in high school, I explained my high school sweetheart, whatever. I said, I feel like that's probably the very first time I fell in love. And then, when it was time to close and she wanted to say something, she's like, I don't believe in falling in love. Love is an active verb and this and that. And I'm like, girlfriend, yes, love is an active verb, which is why I guess what we call new relationship energy. That's when you fall in love with the person because you don't really know who the
Mhm.
person is, right? At this point, you just fall in with what you see, the good part, whatever, because it's all good and nice and sunny and all that. That's the falling in love
You
part.
see.
Then you learn to love somebody. You don't just
Mm,
love somebody right off the bat as soon as you, because you don't even know that person. The love part to me is when you love them with all their flaws. That's
mm.
love. You
Right. When
are
they're
in
not looking,
love when
they're
you,
not, they're
yeah,
not looking so beautiful right now, and it's not.
right. But I
Mm-hmm,
still want them. I still love them, even though they're
mm-hmm,
not perfect, even though what I saw wasn't exactly what I thought it was, but I still
mm-hmm,
love them. That's love. You develop love. It's an active verb.
mm-hmm.
Yes, you take steps to loving somebody, but the falling in love, don't dismiss that, because excuse me, that's the time when you are feeling all the butterflies. Nothing this person can say can be bad. Nothing they can do can be wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can do no wrong. They can say no wrong. So it's like, can we stop saying things just because they are popular to say? It's okay to fall in love with somebody. You don't stay in that stage forever. You
Right.
fall in and out of love
Right.
depending on what's going on in your life. Sometimes you don't have time to be in love with anybody
Right.
because life is life in. We got to
Right.
pay the bills. We're short on the rent this month with all that. And it's fine. I still love you, but hey, let's focus on what's at stake at the moment, you
Absolutely.
know?
So,
So,
another thing that they kept tiptoeing around is the sex part, right? And it, the monogamous thought mindset is very, like, they kept talking about soul ties, which I know is more of a spiritual thing, right?
right,
But there, I mean, from what I remember reading the Bible, there's a lot of polygamous families in the Bible, and I just find that a lot of times people pick and choose what they're going to big up in the Bible, like, this is cool, but this ain't cool no more. And we're not doing that
right.
anymore. But, you could wear this kind of clothing, but you can't wear that. And you could do this, you can't. And that's very confusing to me. But I do know that they did begot. They had a lot of children. Someone couldn't have kids, so they got a new wife, and da da da. And they were, you know, there was a lot of multiple relationships going on in the Bible.
Mhm.
And I mean, if it's part of your doctrine, it should be okay. That's something I thought of. But I also think that, and this is like what I've heard a lot, is women, a lot of married women are unsatisfied sexually, right?
Right.
And I would love to have,
I wouldn't say just women, maybe just like people in general, because a lot of times that's what
I just
causes them to step out.
I just feel like guys are just, they're gonna get off
Yeah,
regardless.
but that still doesn't mean that they
Yeah,
are
you're right.
satisfied, because the same way that they can choose, okay, let's say they choose masturbation, a woman can choose masturbation to get off as well.
Right.
So it could be both of them that are not satisfied, but like, there's never the option to, because I mean, I see it so many times, and I have some of my friends who are like that. They're not sexually compatible. We talked about that before. They're not compatible on a sexual level, but yet they cannot see anybody else to satisfy their needs. Now, I know the religious people are going to jump and be like, "Oh, are you going to act on every desire? Are you going to act on everything that you feel?" No, I'm not going to act on everything, because I would be eating burgers every day and fries and rice and all of that. No, I'm not going to act on
All of the good
everything.
stuff.
Right. I do try to control myself, but sometimes I'm like, why should
It's
I
Friday.
suffer? Why should I suffer when it's kind of like you're telling me, even though you're hungry and the food is right in front of you should sacrifice yourself and not eat the food just because you're trying to prove that you don't have to act on the desire. Okay, I may not act on it today. I may not act on it tomorrow. So you're telling me that I should die of hunger just to show that I can control my desires, and that I don't have to do everything that I feel? It makes no sense to me. I'm like, why deny myself certain things that are not gonna hurt me or hurt somebody else. Like, how is loving somebody else gonna hurt me?
This is how that debate could have been better to me. I mean, even though Kenya and Carl are the premier polyamory couple in the Black community that can speak on it, they wrote books, et cetera, et cetera. They really, if they really want to balance it, they should have gotten a Christian poly couple who espouse the rhetoric more so. Then they're balancing out values together.
Right.
And then the pastor, like if they had a pastor and a wife who were poly, and then the same on the other side, they're all pastors of the same religion, then it would make sense. Now we can hear, well, these Christians are monogamous and these Christians over here are polyamorous. Now have a conversation. Now we can hear whatever your values or rhetoric or doctrine or whatever is based on. I want to hear how it works for y'all over here and over here. To me, that would make more sense, because you have, Carl and Kenya are from an African spiritual system. What did I read in the comments? Oh, that's the devil. Oh, they're talking witchcraft now. I mean, now you go now you're getting off the point of what they're trying to do. And then I also said in the chat, which it would be nice to not have it as a debate. Like, it would be nice for the pastor and his wife. I think they've been on there already a couple times or what have you.
Okay.
But it would have been nice for like their podcast to have Kenya and Carl just speak about polyamory in general, because a lot of people don't even know
what it is.
They don't even know
all
what it
think
is.
it's just orgies and threesomes and all that, although it can be, but
right. And how many people like who they came in late, so they didn't see the initial conversations, were like, now what is she allowed to do that too? Like, they didn't even hear the fullness of it. So it would have been nice to really go deep diving on what polyamory is for their audience, because a lot of people want to know, and it was proven just by the people they brought up on live, like the people they interviewed. Like, I think out of five or six people they brought up, five or four of them were for being polyamorous.
Yeah.
And then the other ones were like, whatever works for y'all. Like,
exactly. So there was nobody was really,
no one was really like cheering on monogamy. They were just like, whatever works. And that's the whole thing, is like, what people probably need to realize is, and that's kind of like why we're doing our podcast and trying to get the word out, is there's no love for polyamory, and that Christian philosophy really puts a lot of hate, because they think of it as sinning. That's the big part.
Yeah.
They think of it as sinning, because I think at the end of the podcast, the first lady was like, what did she say? Something about, well, I know they have to live with their sin or something shady.
Yes.
She's like, well, they gotta live with their sin, but it's all love and peace over here. But we love and respect them, but they gotta live with their own sin. So I was like, damn. If that wasn't a bite, I felt that.
She was very, very much passive aggressive. Quite a few times she made little comments. She just threw little stones here and there. It's like, yeah, I don't like that.
That's like folks who like, they want to be viewed as like, oh, I am just so
holier than thou.
And we all we love we love all the people, and then but you guys over there,
you people,
you run away now, please. We love you though over there.
Right. So it was definitely an interesting conversation. But I would love to talk more about that, maybe at our next podcast. So guys, remember, thank you to those of you who tuned in. It, like, we didn't plan this. It was just kind of like last minute. She literally texted me a few minutes ago.
Let's
do this. I'm like, okay, let me get myself together. But next Tuesday, March 5th, we will have our first anniversary podcast. And we are working on several things, but we're actually taking questions. We've had a lot of questions coming in. So if you have questions, send them to us at the polypimps. Is that the
Yep.
email?
I'll
The
put it in.
polypimps@gmail.com. Send us your questions and we will answer them next Tuesday live. And you can participate in the conversation. You can get on camera or not. So whatever works for you, or you can just send your questions in the comments. But whatever we get first, that's what we will address. So if you want your questions answered and talked about, send them early, because we are putting the episode together. So we'll see you guys next Tuesday at 9 p.m. for our anniversary. It's been a
Wow.
year for the Polypimps.
Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, that was a little short one, but yeah, it was still good. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it. It was
yeah.
I
It was
enjoyed
it
it.
was great. I actually enjoyed it, but some of the stuff I'm just like, can we stop? Like, can we just talk as people, as humans, not as religious people, as humans?
I mean,
But
that was their thing. So
yeah,
that's what they were books on, and that's what their belief is. And, it's not going to be something that they won't do. But I think that they should do another conversation and have like equally yoked people.
right.
Like if they're going to do Kenya, they need to have a non-religious party speaking on behalf
Mhm.
of monogamy. Like if they're going to do a debate, that's just my critique,
Right. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyway, I guess that's it
all
for
right.
tonight.
Yes, that's it. Just a
More
quick 30 minutes.
spontaneity.
Yes.
See you
Well, you
later.
guys have a great night. See you next week. Bye.
Peace.